I'm very honored to be here this morning, and thank you for your attention. In the interest of time, I'm going to move right through. There's a lot of topics that we could cover in this area, but for the sake of time, I'm squeezing it down. So I want to start off with a quote. So the quote goes that your value lies not in status or your title, but in the roots of your character and the depth of your compassion. Now, that's a very heartwarming sentiment, and I really do agree with that. But for the sake of the conversation that we're having, I want to offer to you that I believe that your true value lies in what problem you solve. So let's go with me for a moment, and we'll use an example. So by a show of hands, are there any parents or caregivers of children in the room? All right, very good. God bless you. God bless you all. Well, think about this. If you did not possess access to money, food, shelter, or the keys to the car, for about a third of their lives, you would be virtually useless to your children, right? I see some heads nodding, so you're going with me on that. So you solve a problem for your child in all of your relationships you do, whether they be business, social, or familial relationships. All of us in this room are engaged in wonderful, worthwhile, and often life-changing movements and initiatives. But translating your passion into a marketable initiative that's received and even championed in a new environment can seem like a suicide mission. But it doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be, that way. So today we're going to work from 3 points. There's a lot of things that we could cover, but we're going to narrow down to 3 points today. So the first point is to know who you are. The second point is know who they are. And the third point is solve a problem. So everybody got that? Say it with me. First point, know who you are. Very good. Second point, know who they are. And third point, solve a problem. Okay, now by yourselves. See how easy this works? Repetition is the key to retention. So the more we do things in different ways, we kind of hold on to it. Okay, so with the first point, know who you are. You should spend just as much time, if not more time, researching and knowing and questioning your own organization or your own initiative as you spend on researching your target audience where you want to introduce your new initiative. Now, I have spent a great deal of my career in organizational development. So I've worked with a lot of educational entities and nonprofit organizations, usually in introducing new initiatives to an area or revamping initiatives that they've previously launched, and somewhere along the way kind of fell off or they weren't getting as much interest as they'd like. Now, through this work, I have designated myself Chief Hole Poker. So I go in and I poke holes in organizations and initiatives, and I'm not doing it just to be ugly, and it's awesome when you're paid to do this, but I'm doing it so that I could evaluate strengths and vulnerabilities in the initiative. And you should be poking holes. We're poking holes from the inside before anyone has the opportunity to poke holes from the outside, because that never, ever works out well. So the thing that you want to do is establish yourself as an expert in you so that you can handle those questions. With a new initiative coming into a new area, you're going to be hit with all sorts of questions. Where did you come from? What are you doing? What's in it for me? What do you want from me? So all of these things, that term elevator speeches are real. You never know when you're going to be invited to New York for a conference and have 10 minutes to talk. So you really need to be concise on what you're doing. So the next point, what was point number 2? Awesome. I was just making sure that I didn't lose you guys. Okay, so know who they are. Having a solid understanding of the organization or the group that you are trying to ingratiate yourself into is very key. You want to know about them as a whole first, and then more specifically as to how your product or your service can be incorporated into that organization or that new community. You may be introducing something, it may be a new industry, it may be into a new geographical location. When you're thinking about those things, you want to find points of alignment. Find out what's important to the stakeholders that you're working with. And for the sake of all things wonderful in the world, find the right person. Now, that is surely worthy of a whole other session just dedicated on its own to finding the right person to pitch your idea, your initiative, your organization to. But for the sake of time, I really want to encourage you to develop a strategy for creating a champion. Your champion is going to be someone inside that organization, someone inside that community who will listen to your initiative, listen to what you have to offer, and really see the benefit of it. Having a key person on your side will make your message run like wildfire because you have someone who is really dedicated to you. The right message delivered to the wrong person falls on deaf ears and it goes nowhere. I see some smiles and some nods and I hear you, everybody kind of understanding that. So ideally, you should be targeting the highest level person who will directly benefit from the value that you can offer. So that is a perfect segue into our third point, which was solve a problem. I have about a third of you who are still with me, but I'm good. That's awesome. I love the statistics. Solve a problem. So successful conversations with decision makers begin with the decision maker's business. I'm going to repeat that. Successful conversations with decision makers begin with the decision maker's business. So you're not going in immediately promoting yourself. That's why point number 1 was what? Know who you are, okay? Because you already know who you are, and 9 times out of 10, if you have moved from an email or a cold call to an actual in-person meeting, that person has researched everything about you and probably know your childhood street address. So there's no need to go in and give an elaborate explanation of who you are. You want to start with the decision maker's business. You want to understand the rational and emotional benefits that you're capable of delivering. As you ask your questions to discover the decision maker's challenges and opportunities, position your service, position your initiative, and what you have to offer by demonstrating how you can deliver the benefits that the decision maker needs to overcome their challenges and realize their opportunity. Be their solution. Be the thing that just the heavens opened up and dropped into their lap. Every problem that they have, you want to align what you're doing with what they need. And then the fourth point. What was the fourth point? You missed that? Okay, let's go back through the points. Point number 1 was know who you are. Point number 2, know who they are. Point number 3, solve a problem. And point number 4, you didn't catch that? No, it was really a trick. I didn't give you point number 4. But here it is. Point number 4 is keep the door open. You want to follow up. It's so easy to follow up, but it's such a very odd concept for some people. We just don't follow up. Remain engaged, educate, add value, build credibility, and nurture relationships. When I say nurture relationships, when you're coming into a new community, a new industry, and you want to get the buy-in and support for your initiative, you need to make what's important to that community important to you. So many times we come into communities with a new initiative and we expect that community to just envelop us with support, and we've just been waiting for you all of our lives. But we are the ones who need to ingratiate ourselves and assimilate ourselves with that new community. So definitely the follow-up is there. You need to be an expert, establish yourself as an expert, and definitely solve a problem. So in such a small amount of time, these are three that I thought were the most notable areas that a lot of NGOs, a lot of nonprofits that I've worked with have really fallen short. Sometimes seems like they're no-brainers, but they are very, very important points that we sometimes brush over when we're trying to put together awesome presentations and all these different types of things to wow these communities. But it's really the simple things that really win. And then in closing, what was point number 5? No, not really. Okay. Thank you very much.